Hello, good morning. My name is Oluwasun Adepoju, and it's my pleasure to facilitate this class session. Um, I quite understand the fact that we're in a profession that is changing narratives rapidly, and it is very important that as students you understand the prospects and the opportunity that abounds for you, especially when we talk about the entrepreneurial space in information studies, right? Let me say a quick thank you to Dr. Alonge for bringing me on board for this session. Today, I'm supposed to have conversations with you on design thinking. And I believe it's a very important conversation because design thinking actually forms the foundation of any entrepreneurial solution you can bring on board for a particular problem. And in this case, information studies, right? You know, there was a generation that were problem discussants. They knew how to identify problems. Like they can discuss a lot of problems. They know how to identify problems and issues in the society, but they could not do so much in terms of providing solutions to those problems. And that generation is gone. The generation that you are now is a generation that provides solutions to problems, to issues. You are an innovative generation, a creative generation. So, this conversation is very important if you want to be a problem solver. We wouldn't want to go back to that generation that was just about discussing problems. I'm sure you've seen a lot of symposiums and workshops, and when you read the titles of those workshops and symposiums, you are really impressed with the way they've been able to craft the questions and the issues they want to discuss. But by the time you go for such conferences and workshops and symposiums, you discover that you have just gone there to discuss a problem over and over again, but you've not been able to like discover the solution. What are the solutions to the problems we have discussed? And we wouldn't want you to go back to such a generation. So basically, this class is going to be short, and I'm going to be running you through the 5 stages of design thinking. I'm sure some of you have heard about design thinking. You've heard about critical thinking. You've heard about thought patterns and processes, but I want to break it down for you to understand what it really means to be a design thinker. Before you start ideating and thinking of solution in an entrepreneurial way in library and information science, you must actually understand design thinking to really help you to bring out the best solution for the situations and the problems you are identifying in your class. Now, design thinking is actually the foundation for ideation. So you don't ideate, you don't even discover problem without design thinking. And design thinking is a field that encapsulates all the processes you need to go through in identifying problems, doing your analysis of the problem, putting yourself in the shoes of the people who have the problem, in this case in the information field, and also testing your product. So there are 5 stages of design thinking, which number one is empathize, number two is to define, number three is to ideate, number four is to prototype, and number five is to test. I'll go through that again. Number one is to empathize, number two is to define, number three is to ideate, number four is to prototype, and number five is to test. So, what is empathy? There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is you are just showing the emotion and you're just trying to empathize with somebody. You are not actually putting yourself in the shoes of the person, but you can only understand, you can only think about the emotion the person is feeling or what the person is going through. That's why we say you are sympathizing. But when we talk about empathy, you're actually putting yourself in the person's shoe. So, for example, somebody's dad just died. You can only sympathize by sending messages and by sending words of encouragement, which is fine. As humans, we do that. But when you empathize, you're actually putting yourself in the person's shoes, to think about, so this person is acting this way because this happened to them. What if this happens to me as well? How will I feel? now you are empathizing, right? So in design thinking, you need to empathize, and in this situation, you are putting yourself in the shoes of the people who you are trying to provide solutions to their problems. So in this case, you are empathizing in the information space, library and information space. What do librarians go through in their day-to-day services? What do software developers for library management go through? What do library patrons, what do they go through in assessing information? You are thinking about, so you are putting yourself in the shoes of students. What is their experience when they want to access information? What do they go through in the hands of librarians? What do librarians go through in the hands of the institution? All those kind of questions. You are trying to put yourself in the shoes of the audience or the people you are trying to give a solution to, right? So that is empathy. When you empathize, you understand the problem better. You put yourself in the shoes, in the environment, in the situation yourself. So you are not standing aloof to think about the problem. You're actually putting yourself in the problem to have a feeling of what it feels like to be in the shoes of the people facing the problem. So um, as you begin to think about the problems you want to solve in an entrepreneurial way in the library and information space, the first thing you need to do is to empathize. You need to empathize. If you need to go out in the field physically to put yourself in the situation of the problem you are trying to solve, you need to do that. And that is why in this module of entrepreneurial aspect of library and information studies, you are still going to study market analysis, because you can be thinking about a solution in your bedroom or in the classroom, but it's different when you go out there. And that is why you need to empathize. You need to go out, put yourself in the shoes, feel the problem yourself before you start getting solutions on board, right? And then the second stage is to define, right? Now you've gathered the emotions, the data, you've experienced the situation yourself. So at this stage of defining, you are now defining what the problem is, right? What is the problem that these people face? At what stage do they face this problem? What are the factors contributing to them facing this problem? For how long have they faced this problem? Are there solutions that have been put in place before I'm coming on board to do a business or to provide a solution in this space? Who are the competitors? Why did some solutions fail? Because you are not the first that will do what you want to do. Other people have gone ahead, but it's possible that some of them failed, some of the solutions didn't work. Why did they not work in the context of the problem you want to solve? So you need to ask these questions, and these are all these happens at the stage of defining the problem. So the first stage is to empathize. You've felt it, you've identified what the problem is. Then the second stage is to define, right? As you're defining, you're putting all the questions in context, right? Now, when you have put all the questions in context, you've understood the factors that leads to this problem. You have a wide range of understanding of this problem now. So the third stage is to actually ideate. And when you ideate, you are preferring the solution on paper, right? You are transferring your idea of problem solving, from your head, and you're recording it down. So you are ideating. Okay, student needs 24/7 services from the university library. How do we do it in such a way that if a student wakes up at 2 a.m. and is writing a paper and he needs support from the library, he can actually reach the library by 2 a.m. virtually, and he or she gets the material that he or she is looking from the library at 2 a.m., right? So you are thinking about synchronous library services that runs for 24/7. So are you going to build an app that the reference librarians can use to provide the solution to the student problem by 2 a.m. in the night? Are you thinking about, creating a chatbot that does a kind of artificial information grabbing for the student in the middle of the night, right? So this is ideation. Do you want to advocate that the library employs more people that will be doing night shifts so that the library can run 24/7 services for the advantage of the student? So these are ideations. You are putting your ideas down, right? You are putting your ideas down, and it's not compulsory. You just provide a solution to a problem. At the ideation stage, you're actually putting together a lot of ideas, and then at the end of the day, you know select the one that you think is the best for the problem you are trying to solve, right? So at the ideation stage, that is the solution provision stage, right? The next stage is the prototype, right? You don't provide a solution on a large scale when you have not tested, when you have not prototyped or even done your in-house test to see if the idea would work, right? So you want to give a prototype, and at the prototype stage, if it's a solution that needs funding, you need a lot of support, you need investors. Is at the prototype stage you show what your idea is. Prototype means you are bringing your idea to life, but in a temporary way. It's not on a large scale now. So if you are building an app, don't do the final product yet. So if it's an app, just test with a few data and test it in-house, and you can actually use that to also explain to investors and the people who want to give you support, to make your idea work. So at the prototype stage, you are transferring the ideas from the paper to a product that we can see, if that is the pathway of your solution. So you want to see the product. So if you are meant to create a hardware for a particular problem, it's at the prototype stage. You just make one or two copies of the hardware you're trying to do on a large scale, and you present it to investors or people who are mentors in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, who can actually help you, who can give you feedbacks and help you get connections for your idea. So it is very important that at the prototype stage, you move your idea into something tangible that we can see. We can also call it minimum viable product. It's something you are also going to learn in this module as a course, right? So prototype, it's very important. Don't waste all your energies and money and resources going public when you have not actually done the in-house work, to see, so this is one product. We want to make millions of this, but this is one, this is what it looks like. So to give validation, for your idea. And the last step of design thinking is to test. Now, you've done your prototype, your investors can see it, your mentors can see it, the people who want to help you take your product to a global stage, or to actually connect your product to the people that actually matters, they've actually seen what your idea looks like in flesh, in the physical, right? So the next thing is to test, and that's the final stage of this. Once you have tested, so there's a slogan: tested and trusted. So after the testing, the level of trust comes up. You've seen that this product actually works, this idea actually works, this structure I've put in place actually works, this solution actually works, right? So after testing, then you are ready to put your product out there. People can start using your solution. People can start talking about your solution, and you can start selling your solution, as the case may be, whether profit or non-profit, right? So these are the 5 stages of design thinking that I believe you need to take your idea through for you to become a good entrepreneur, and for you to be able to put a product that is scalable, a product that is viable, and a product that the people you have built the solution for can actually relate to. So a lot of resources will be dropped on Edmodo so that you can read more, and I'm going to post a class work also that you need to do, and you will turn it in at a future date that will be communicated. below this video. So I hope you've actually gained something from this probably 15 minutes content. And I want you to read more, and you can also post questions to me. I really wished I could be there physically to facilitate this, but I've decided to do this so that at least I can contribute something to your knowledge pool at this stage. Thank you very much, and I hope to have more conversations with you on the page. Thank you.